in our last lesson on North America, we learnt about the New World. The New World later came to be known as North America. So North America as a continent can be identified as a northwestern continent as it lies entirely in the northern hemisphere and western hemisphere. Today in our lesson we'll be learning more about the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of the continent and understand the exact location of North America. So on the screen here, can you help me identify this particular meridian? Well, this is known as the International Date Line. Quite an interesting name, isn't it? Well, the name is so because places lying on either side of the line have a 24 hours gap. For example, it is 5 p.m. evening on 6th of April in Samoa, then it is 5 p.m. evening on 7th of April in Tonga. Now you'll be surprised to know that these two places are only 550 miles away from each other. Still, they have a complete 1 day gap. So this is what is interesting about the International Date Line. Now why all of a sudden are we talking about the International Date Line? Well, International Date Line is one of the longitudinal extents of the continent of North America. So to start with the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of North America, let us take a look at this particular map. So here we have a map of North America where we can see that the continent extends from 7 degree north to 83 degree north. This only implies that the continent lies entirely in the northern hemisphere. It is also quite clear that two important latitudes are crossing the continent, which includes Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degree north, and the Arctic Circle, that is 66.5 degree north. So this was the latitudinal extent of the continent, and it is quite clear from this that the continent covers a huge area of the northern hemisphere. Now because of the same reason of it covering a huge latitudinal extent, the continent is said to have a varied climate. Now this climate includes tropical climate, subtropical climate, temperate climate and polar climate. Now on one hand, while tropical climates are characterized by warm summers with an average temperature of 18 degrees Celsius and above, the continent also experiences temperate climate. Now temperate climates means that the continent at some parts experiences moderate rainfall with warm summers and cool to cold winters. And on the other extreme, right at the top near the Arctic Circle and the Arctic Ocean, the continent experiences cool summers and severe cold winters. So you see that the latitudinal extent of the continent has a huge impact or a huge influence on the different types of climates that exist over the continent. Now because of the latitudinal extent and because of the varied climate, the continent also has a varied vegetation. So where at some parts we have tundra and boreal forest, which are characterized by grasslands and forested huge lands that mostly includes coniferous trees like spruce, pine and larch. On the other hand, it also experiences or it also has temperate and subtropical vegetation, which includes a variety of forests. For example, the Pacific coniferous forest, which mostly includes redwoods and firs. So you see that the latitudinal extent has a huge impact on both the climate and vegetation of the continent. So now we know about the latitudinal extent of the continent. Let us take a look at the longitudinal extent. So the longitudinal extent of the continent is from 53 degree west to 180 degree. Now you must be wondering, why haven't I assigned any direction to 180 degree meridian? This is only because just like prime meridian is said to have a 0 degree meridian, similarly 180 degree is the ending meridian or ending longitude. Now this 180 degree also has a special name. This is the international date line. We talked about this in the very beginning of the lesson. So the international date line is an imaginary line that corresponds along most of its length to the 180th meridian of the longitude, but it deviates eastwards. Now we have already learned that 180-degree meridian is the longitudinal extent of North America. So here we have North America and here we have Asia. So right in between Asia and North America, we have the 180-degree meridian crossing, that is the international date line. So before we proceed with the lesson, could you help me answer this question? International date line corresponds along most of its length to which meridian? Is it 150th meridian, 125th meridian, or 180th meridian? We just learned that the international date line corresponds to the 180th meridian of longitude. So now we have a clear idea about the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of the continent, and we know exactly where the continent lies. Now it's time to learn about the boundaries of the continent. So just knowing the location of the continent is not enough. It is also important to learn or to know about the surroundings. So if we take a look at the map of North America, we see that the continent is entirely surrounded by oceans on all sides. So on either side of the continent, we have two of the largest oceans of the world, Pacific Ocean to its west and Atlantic Ocean to its east. Then we have Arctic Ocean to the north of the continent, and we finally have the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea to its south. So we see that these huge water bodies prove to be very advantageous for the continent as they open gates for international trade. But just looking at the water bodies is not enough. We also have some land masses surrounding the continent. Let us look at them. So we are used to seeing the world map in a certain way. But we also need to keep in mind that our world or Mother Earth is spherical in shape, which only means that if we shift our projection of the world map and place North America at somewhere at the center, then we have another perspective of the world map, which shows that the continent is connected or very close, almost joining hands to the largest continent of the world, that is Asia, right here. And this happens in the very northwestern part of the continent. So let's zoom into the area where Asia and North America are lying very close to each other. So on one hand, we have Alaska, which is a part of United States of America, is very close to Russia, a country in Asia. So they are lying very close to each other, and the water body that separates Asia from North America is the Bering Strait. Now we have already learned that the continent is almost surrounded by water bodies on all sides. However, the only land connection the continent has is with the continent of South America in the southern part. Now this connection is through the Isthmus of Panama. Now Panama is a country in the southernmost part of the continent of North America. Now, so what exactly is an isthmus? Isthmus is a narrow stretch of land that connects two huge land masses while it separates two huge water bodies. So it's exactly the opposite of a strait. So we can say that North America is connected to South America by the Isthmus of Panama. Now if we go in particular, we can see that the two continents are joined to each other at the very junction of Panama, which is a part of North America, and Colombia, which is a part of South America. So these two countries of their respective continents join hands through the Isthmus of Panama, thus joining the two continents by extension. So in today's lesson, we learnt about the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of the continent. We further understood that how its latitudinal extent influences its varied climate and vegetation. We then learnt about the boundaries of the continent, where we saw that most parts of the continent is surrounded by water bodies. However, in the very north, it lies very close to the continent of Asia, but is separated through the Bering Strait, and in the very south, it is connected to the continent of South America through the Isthmus of Panama. In our next lesson, we'll be learning about the political divisions of the continent of North America. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at deltastep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock test. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.